Hi, how's everybody doing?
Hello.
Good. How are you doing?
Fabulous.
Welcome.
Awesome. I saw the movie. I think it was yesterday or on Sunday. Awesome movie, really awesome.
Thanks, Alejandro.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. So I'm going to try to go through most of them I can. For the director, Jonathan Baker, great film, by the way, excellent. How does it feel getting into TIFF?
It feels amazing. I must say, Alejandro, we just had such great feedback from so many journalists that we made the film hoping that would do well in South Africa. That was our main target audience, was to make a really cool South African film. And the bonus would have been to get into Toronto. So it's fantastic that we're in Toronto, and it feels like everybody's just really genuinely enjoying the film and getting all the things that we set out to achieve. So it's feeling great. I can't wait to show the film. In fact, I'm feeling more and more confident to show the film now, because it feels like somehow we're getting something right.
Oh yeah, definitely. What creative challenges did you face creating this heist comedy?
I think probably the biggest challenges were budget, because the moment you talk about a heist film, everyone goes, "Oh yeah, so it's like an Ocean's 11," and you're like, "No, well, Ocean's 11 is like has millions and millions of dollars more than we had. We didn't have that." So the moment when people go to the cinema or they hear about that, they're expecting to see massive explosions and a heist that's high end. Very technical, and there's the cars and supercars and muscle cars, etc. So we didn't have a lot of that, and what was very important was that we got the right cast, and that we had fantastic characters, and that it was more of a character-driven film than a plot-driven heist. So I guess I've learned like this. The thing is, with each film is its time. If we had 6 weeks as opposed to 4 weeks, I think we would have had not a better film, but we would have had more options in the edit suite.
Of course. What inspired you to want to tell this story about gentrification that's happening in Bocap?
I have a very special love for history and for South Africa and for Cape Town, and in particular, there were two areas during apartheid that were pulled down as a symbol that flew in the face of apartheid, and there was a place called Town in Johannesburg and a place called District 6 in Cape Town, and both of those places were pulled down by the apartheid government because they were places where people of mixed races lived and plied their trade in a harmonious way, and the National Party hated that. So that always irked me, and I always wanted to make anything I could, a film about District 6, and I was lucky to make a TV show about Town, just to say, up yours to the National Party.
Great. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. In Puerto Rico, we deal with gentrification all the time, so I understand completely like that sentiment and those themes. So I was really fascinated that you went in the route that you did, like doing a heist comedy, but around everything is this story about gentrification, about people losing ownership of stuff that they used to own. Was it passed out by generations, all that? So it's very important to like tell those type of narratives and keep talking about them. Like going through that line, how important was it for you to highlight like the Carnival Cape Town, the minstrel shows, the Goema, to like a larger audience, since you're now going to TIFF?
The thing about the Carnival is, it struck me that when we showed another film that I made, is that the audiences kept going. They weren't even sure that South Africa had music festivals, because my film was set in a music festival. And so it just struck me that we have this beautiful carnival that's been going for 200 years. When the slaves were emancipated, they took to the streets dressed as minstrels. And it's a beautiful carnival. There's 30,000 people take to the streets, but it's not just about the people on the street. It's about the families that sew the outfits, the men, the trumpets and the instruments. So there's a whole community that takes part in this carnival that runs on the 2nd of January. And I thought it had so many beautiful facets and elements to it that why not show that? And what's crazy is that this carnival happens every year, and happens over a couple of days. It's not just one day. and there's a long build up to it, and there's a long afterwards. There's lots of rehearsals, and they have lots of stuff that happens afterwards. But there's been no films made about the carnival. I mean, that's crazy. It's been going forever, and there's not one narrative film. There's a couple of documentaries maybe, but nothing that focuses on this community, who are so beautiful, who have such strong cultural things that you can tap into as a filmmaker. It's so cinematic. It's a carnival. It's color. It's a sense of humor. It's got everything, you know.
I mean, I loved it. That was one of the parts I enjoyed the most, because I didn't know about this until I saw the movie. Did you like work closely with the people involved in the festival while working with the movie?
Yes, the guy Lukman Adams, who created the music, he is a really iconic musician based in Cape Town. His family, his brother, Emo, they do like loads of Afrikaans music. They really are like, they're the superstars in Cape Town. So it was very important that we worked with Lukman. Lukman created a whole lot of original tracks for the film and gave us so many amazing tips on the history and the culture. And he's working with us now on the second film that we're writing, because there's other elements too that we didn't focus on in the first one. Things like the Nacht troupe, which is translated to the night troops, which happen the night before the carnival, and that's the floats. There's these beautiful floats they build. There's the music that they play the night before, which is very particular. So he was very important to work with him on all those elements. And then his father plays Percy. His father's real life is Uncle Percy. And so it was great to have his dad involved, have him involved creating music for us. So every step of the way, we made sure that I ran everything by Lukman in terms of the authenticity of the carnival and how it happens, and the formation of it, and where it runs from in the city, and where they end up. So yeah, we did a lot of homework.
That's awesome. Jax da Silva, right? Like that, am I saying it
That's
correctly?
right. Jacques,
Awesome. Awesome. Tell us about your character motivations and how they run parallel to the themes of greed, legacy, and culture.
Yeah. So for me, the main hook was the search for identity and the trying to define who I am as an individual, and then needing to find the character's journey towards discovering his place in the community, and that it is within the community where he has a place and he has an identity and he has a name, and that relationship with the estranged relationship with the father of looking to go out and make a name for himself in the world. That was my main. That was for me the heart of it, and then also to immerse myself in, like John was saying, because we had Lukman as a resource. A lot of the musicians that we had working on the film are actually part of the minstrel troupes. They've all, in fact, most of them, a lot of them were part of rival troupes. So it was really good to really be a part of that and be part of the conversation. And they were incredibly generous to allow me in, and to be a vampire within the space and just like absorb as much as I could. And they gave life. They really did give absolute life, and were able to give me a space to really fall in love with the world and the context of this of the story.
What was the most fun you had on set?
Whenever any of the musicians were on set, there was a vibe. The AD shouts cut, and the banjos are still going, and the song starts, and people are dancing, and this is so. We might have been able to shoot everything John wanted to in the 4 weeks that we had, if there wasn't as much jamming backstage. But it really, you can see the spirit in which we worked on screen, and that's what we're finding. What we noticed in watching the film now is that the four of us, but the entire ensemble, the crew, These are people who have an immense respect for each other, and an immense joy in, and got immense joy and satisfaction from working with each other. Yeah.
Awesome.
Favorite part.
I mean, I love the music. The music was great. How physically demanding was it to play your character Jerome when it came to like the heist sequence?
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, it's kind of the dream. As a young kid, you want to be the hero in an action film, and so I think it's the closest I was going to get to Tom Cruise being dropped into a vault. Tom Cruise dropped, I dug my way up.
Yeah, exactly.
So physically challenging, yeah, but that's the fun of it. Like that's the dream. The learning to play the instruments, that was learning. Yeah, that was the challenge.
Did you have like musicians help you out and everything, train and all that?
Yes, on set. So it was shame. I think the musicians needed to follow. They needed to make sure that I could pretend well. It also made so that they could. So we had, when I was playing the trumpet, I was obviously taught the fingering and that sort of thing, but the trumpeter literally watched my fingers and played and adjusted to what my hands were doing. It's magical. Yeah. We really were blessed with some of the most incredible talent on this film, and yeah, it's magic. As an actor, it was a dream come true.
It's great. So what does The Umbrella Men, like the film, mean to you in terms of tradition and the culture that's showcased in it?
Still me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a the colored community is not particularly well represented. There's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of stereotype. There's always the narrative of the drunk, the drunk, the thug, the scolly, as they're called, and those are the stories that are told. That's the narrative. Not often do we get to see the families that. So yes, those things do exist, and they are reasons for those for that being as common as it is. But what's beautiful about this is that is the context. It's not the story. It's not the heart. This is a story about relationships, about a brotherhood and friendships, about finding love and needing to fight for that while you're trying to fight for your family's legacy, for your community. So in terms of the representation in this, to be able to for the young kids who are able to dream about becoming an actor, of being in a caper, of instead of Tom Cruise, but with his American accent, of that there's someone who speaks like me, who sounds like me, and I live next door. That is something really special.
Awesome. So Shamila, can you talk to me more about your character Keisha and what inspired you, what drove you in the direction that you went with your character?
Yes, I can. Thank you. I mean, Keisha, so I was involved I was attached to the script a few years before we actually went into production, and Keisha's character was always the love interest, and she was always there, but just over the draft she became a lot more of a like go-getter, and a lot more of a story than just a passive love interest. And so with that development, once we got to production, I really loved the fact that she was, by the end of it, a part of the story, a part of the heist, and she was instrumental in these characters getting away with what they set out to do. Keisha as a character also, she's so independent and ambitious and strong as a standalone character, and nothing about her in her everyday life is passive. So for example, when she takes the recording in the office of the conversation that seems like it's going to be dodgy, she doesn't know what she's going to do with that footage or where it's going to go, but she's just got that spirit that's very like go-getter, and her ambition knows that she wants to get to a certain level in life. Her path to that level might not be as set out and clear, but she's an opportunist and she's quick on her feet and she's super smart. And so playing around with like knowing those aspects of her personality is really where I pitched the character of Keisha, because I was like, this is fundamentally that was who she was, and so I played her quite strong and go-getter.
So in terms of like the same question I asked to Jacques, what does this film represent to you and mean to you in terms of the traditions and the cultures and the legacy and all these themes that are explored to you?
Yeah, well, it's just super important to me that there is the representation of the culture and community on the screen. And it's not to say, so Jacques did touch on it, so it's not to say that they haven't been on our screens before, it's just the way that the community was represented. So, you know, you've got your people in the colored community that are always shown as like, you know, drug addict or gangster, or, you know, you're part of some sort of like seedy nature. And as much as this is a struggle film, and you know the characters are struggling to get out of a certain situation, and they do resort to crime in a sense to get there, but the fact that it's told in the way that it's told, in the entertainment way that it's told, in the humor and the color and the lightness of how the story is told, it makes it a fun film, and it makes it a piece of entertainment. And that just means something great, that we don't only have to make things that are like heavy and cumbersome. We can also just make things that are like fun to watch and fun to want to be a part of, and fun for other people to get to know certain parts of cultures and, you know, explore within their own city or even internationally. So that type of representation really holds dear to my heart.
So how does it feel to be in Toronto then? Like getting this film there, getting this story out, getting these characters out?
Yeah, I'm super excited about Toronto. I've never been to Canada before. I've also never been in competition in a international film festival before. So the fact that we have this opportunity to have a film show there, to physically go there ourselves as well, is super exciting. And it's just really nice for audiences to see this little part of the world that they may never have visited or even know about, this subculture that they've never discovered before. So yeah, to share that with the world is going to be very exciting.
It's awesome. Keenan, how was your friendship dynamic with the character of Jerome, and what inspirations did you pull from your own life to get like that authentic friendship, your authentic brotherhood?
Do you know what, Alejandro? Jacques and I had never met before this film. So I think the first time we met was at John's place. And even then, I think our communication, we chatted very, very little. But I think this is the credit to John. Like, I think he knew exactly what he was looking for and what we may bring individually to these characters and how we would play off each other. So the chemistry was sort of, I think, John's great idea. And then Jacques and I, just as the actors, as people, we clicked almost immediately, I think. Well, that's what I think, Jacques. But it was so easy, even with all the other actors and characters. Like, it was just so simple. I think we knew what we were there to do, the purpose, the function that we were trying to fulfill, and what the ultimate message and narrative was. So to slot into that was very easy. And so for me, it felt very easy to get to that point and for us to just connect. I mean, what was our first day on set, Jacques? Our first scene ever together was, we had a script read through, we had a table read, and that was sort of it until we saw each other on set again. But it was just so easy. And again, all credit to John, because I think he knew exactly what we could offer these characters and what we would bring to the table, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, just to jump in there. I think the first day was, I'm sure it was the Gummer Club, where Jacques had to play banjo to the prison, to the ex-cons. I'm sure that was in the Gummer Club, right? And that was you two. I think it was you two had that scene. Am I right, Jacques? I think that was the first down set.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also your scene was that scene you had to kind of be, you had to really look like, because, you know, obviously, Alejandro, you know, we shoot out of continuity. So
Of course.
they had to look like at that stage that, I mean, Jacques had picked up, I mean, Jerome had picked up Mortimer, and they'd been hanging out together for a bit. And then that scene, they watched Jerome convince the choir that he's staying, which is a great scene with Auntie Val. And then Jerome says, we're going back to prison. And then there was, you know, Keenan saying, no ways, but I'm not going back there. So there's quite a lot of there's quite a lot of, we're far into the story. So the chemistry had to be really good on that day.
Yeah, it sort of had to be, we had to be placed there in that moment. We've had a pre-life prior to that moment. Yeah. I also remember the meeting scene coming out of prison. It was a sort of, for me, again, as the actor, it was a sort of first time moment coming out of prison, not seeing my friend after 10 years. But as the actors, this is exactly what was happening. We didn't know each other. Yeah. And so for me I kind of pitched it in a way that I don't know this dude. It's been 10 years, but I actually don't know him as a person. So it was nice to sort of to get to that moment and play the moment as real as I possibly could. And it was completely authentic. And I mean, I just remember staring into Jacques' eyes and I'm like, I actually don't know you, you know? But I don't know you, but then Mortimer doesn't know Jerome because so much of life has happened and changed. He's changed, I've changed. And so we're almost completely different people in that moment. Yeah. And so that for me was it was really, it was great. It was really, really cool. I don't know, did we work hard at our friendship, Jacques? I don't think so. We're still working at it. We're still working at it.
Jacques is suspiciously quiet right now.
Oh no.
You know what?
No, I mean, I don't want to undermine it at all, but no. So the thing is, I completely fell in love with these people. So so Alejandro, like we also lived in the same hotel, and it felt like I was back at university, you know, because we were devouring the world of this film. We were like devouring getting to know each other. Like it felt like the beginnings of a relationship with the ensemble. So did we work hard at it? Yes, but completely not consciously, not as work. Yeah, it was the romance of being involved in something really special, something that meant a lot. Filmmaking.
Yeah.
The romance of the bubble.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I think about, because I didn't know that you guys didn't know each other. I honestly thought that you had met each other before the meeting at my house. But I remember this distinctly, this picture of, you know, like when a party happens and all these people get together and they're getting together and there were people sitting outside. And I remember leaving the kitchen at one stage. A whole lot of people left the kitchen at one time, and it just left Jacques and Keenan together. And I remember them both like standing like this in the kitchen. And then I kind of realized these guys don't know each other very well. They were like left alone. They're like,
yeah. That's great. Then my final question for Keenan. How was it filming back in your hometown? How was it filming over there? How was it like going back to that festival?
It was amazing because I also hadn't been back home for such a long time. I've been living in Johannesburg. I lived abroad for a bit. So coming home to shoot, there was, again, I'm going to say it's such a full circle moment for me. Like I actually got emotional while I was there, but seeing the streets that I used to walk as a kid, and now we're filming this super feature film there, and and then it also just gave me this, it brought me back to the sense of community, the sense of family that happens there. And it was just, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. Also just to be able to reconnect with, I would say, my past and my time there as a young scholar, you know.
Did you see any childhood friends over there? Like they were like saying, "Oh my God, you're making a movie."
I think there were a few.
Literally.
Yeah.
There were a few like, hey, you remember me? And I was like, sorry, I'm in character at the moment.
Look at this guy keeping him so. He's keeping
yeah,
him so.
exactly. There was a moment. We had a screening back there for the community and everybody that helped us out and whatever. And we had a very special screening for the community. And I remember seeing my primary school best friend just sitting there with his wife. And I was like, wow, this is so special. And thanks again to John for telling the story, you know. I don't think you knew that I mean, I think I shared with John on the days that we were shooting there and walking the streets that this was it for me, but I don't think you knew prior to that, right, John?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't know that you grew up there and that you went to school there. That was amazing. When you told me on the day, I couldn't believe that. It's crazy.
Thank you, John.
You brought your mom and dad to set, which was so cool. Yeah, it was cool, man. It's great.
That's awesome. I thank you for your time. It's a great movie. I hope you have a fantastic time at the Toronto Film Festival, and I can't wait to see what you all do next.
Yeah.
Cool, Alejandro. Thank you, man.